Okay, we're actually online. I'm not entirely sure how the hell I managed to get around to it. I'm doing this on Edge. Instead, I've been having wonderful times trying to cross connect with the little chat windows of the Restream group. And so at least I figured out some of the weirdness of it. I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to deal with this in future, but we're on screen at the moment, so I'm going to get this show in while we can. Yipes. So we skipped our little opening intro to boot. Boop. And the like. Let me see whether I've got any. Oh, yipes. I'm trying to find out whether we got a share screen button anywhere that I can see handy. Yeah, whatever it is, they're hiding it efficiently. Let's get that out of the way. And then that brings up our stupid Restream chat window again when I do that. But anyway, at least we can deal with the screen. So let me try to, we won't do our opening intro. Anyway, yipes, it's weird. Oh, and in fact, I'll have to shift that bloody thing around in order to be able to get us, good Lord. I'm sorry for rambling on this because I'm having just a devil of a time trying to figure out what the hell these stupid little menus are. And it doesn't, either my version of my browser is not having a little problem. And if I want to stop the bloody screen, that stupid menu is in the way and it won't ever move. So I had a thing where I had managed to shift it over to another screen. Auto hidden, always on, sidebar visibility. Gosh, that's not helping us at all. Anyway, okay, yikes. Hi. Well, we've got somebody in the chat window there. Hi, Lisa. Yes, I'm way late on this, and I'm running around to the fact that I may not be able to stop the stupid stream. Anyway, we're just going into our armored dino section of the stupid book. He's only got 14 taxa, reflecting just 6 kinds. And the fun part was that they left out a bunch of them that are on the Ark Encounter list. Scelidosaurids and the Huayangosaurids and the basal Protoceratopsids, which is particularly relevant because Sarfati and Tay are lumping them together with the ceratopsids. So that means that without a further wave of their wand, they are treating 2 separate kinds, according to Ark Encounter, as if they're one kind. Shows you how meaningless kinds are, right? And a 4th group slipped off everybody's list. They're not on the Ark Encounter either. Scutellosaurids. Scutellosaurids and Scelidosaurids and Huayangosaurids were regarded as separate families back in the 1990s. And now they're kind of in limbo land because new fossils have been arriving, and now there's systematic relationships as to whether the families or groups are broader or not, and they're still sorting all of this stuff out. So we'll be putting some little technical papers on this to kind of clarify some stuff, none of which, by the way, they're not citing anything in Sarfati and Tate. So we got the phylogenetic nomenclature of Ornithischian dinosaurs, which has a whole bunch of nice little details of where they're trying to put everything together. And there's going to be a 2021 paper on the Scelidosaurus harrisoni, which you will be able to also compare their systematics. So there are not really any major confusions on terms of the overall relativeness of it. It's just is whether they qualify as independent families or not. So anyway, the attempts to sort that out. There's also going to be a paper from 2021 by Breeden on Scutellosaurus. I'll be putting the links on that as well. Part 2 relates to our dear old pal Casey Luskin and the ongoing saga of their 800 list, which kind of got into from the back door this time. Because Luskin put up a post in Evolution News on junk DNA as evidence of function, where he just can't avoid digging his hole deeper by riffing off some other papers, which included this 2024 paper from Duarte and a 2024 paper from Stanky, which are slamming straight into the theodicy issue again of how these retro elements are related to diseases. This doesn't seem to bother Luskin any because so what? It causes diseases. It's still doing something and therefore designed. At any rate, Larry Moran jumped on this post on his blog spot where he was explaining how Luskin was riffing off of secondary spin a lot and how he thought the Stanky paper involved junk DNA when it didn't. Moreover, Moran concluded, quote, Luskin continues to promote the false claim that all non-coding DNA was assumed to be junk. That allows him to highlight all studies that discover new functional elements in non-coding DNA and claim that it refutes junk DNA. He's been doing this for years in spite of multiple attempts to correct him. Therefore, the answer to the question in the title is obvious. He is a liar. Judge for yourselves whether he is also stupid. So, Dan Stern Cardinale weighed in too, one of his little videos, and I'll be putting the link up to that. And sort of maybe Luskin responded to critics like me, because though not directly by name, I'm too lowly and trivial, I'm sure. In another evolution news post, where literature survey on function for junk DNA. And by the way, I found that I'm blocked by the Discovery Institute's current Twitter venue. So no way of my interacting with them on that. I'm far too lowly a little critter on that. Anyway, Luskin explicitly doesn't mention my point that I was making in my issues. And that was that do any of the papers that they're citing make a case that 50% or more of the retrotransposons, etc., are in fact functional? And I've been going through and linking up to the fact that, no. Only one paper out of the 24 or so far that we've been looking into kind of potentially might be spun that way, but it wasn't really explicitly making that argument, but you could read the vagaries of it enough. Yeah, when are they going to STFU about junk DNA? Probably never, because this is like Piltdown Man and Nebraska Man for young Earth creationists, or the Cambrian explosion for Stephen Meyer. It's just ingrained in concrete on there. Anyway, now in hunting up these latest posts, these newer articles, I happen to have tumbled onto a relevant paper by Facundis 2022, which was not on Luskin's list. But worse, it turned out to be directly criticizing a paper that is on Luskin's list, Stitz 2021, which is about the parasitical blood fluke schistosoma. So yet more examples of dandy design for a creepy purpose, if this was deemed to be a design thing. But the problem is that the Facundis paper is pointing out how, there's some problems, all this. Even the original commentary by McGrath in 2021, with a rather hype title of Junk DNA No More, had noted caveats about the Stitz paper. But Facundis went way further in noting from their own original paper, Stitz, that a, quote, a large fraction of W elements is constituted by partial sequences or have no associated non-coding RNA motifs, unquote. So the list, again, is shying away from contrary perspectives. So they're citing a paper that doesn't, in fact, make the claim that they need to in order to make their main argument that most of the junk DNA is actually functional, and conveniently never allude to a direct criticism of that. Oversight, just casually, they didn't stumble upon it. Good thing to find out about that little puppy. Now, just to make it even juicier, as if this couldn't get worse. Another 2024 point by Luskin on James Shapiro, intelligent design as a valid point with regard to the limits of neo-Darwinism, pounced on a James Shapiro piece that's in this array of stuff on the new evolutionary synthesis at a magazine that is run by the National Association of Scholars, which is kind of a conservative-y think tank that, by the way, pops up in that base of networks that's connected to the Federalist Society and the Heritage Foundation and the Council for National Policy, and that, all sorts of wacky little connections going on in there. At any rate, which is going to be relating to some stuff. There's going to be a conference here in Spokane in a couple of months in October on Christian nationalism, and so I've been compiling material on these connecting threads, and lo and behold, the National Association of Scholars pops up. Anyway, I'll be putting a link up to the Shapiro piece as well. It's flirting. Shapiro has been flirting with the idea of like functional design for a really long time. A purposeful genome. And even though Shapiro was critical of intelligent design in this post, which Luskin acknowledged, but nevertheless, it's kind of, who cares what Shapiro is thinking on this subject? But this is not the juicy part. Luskin couldn't resist a link to another IB piece by Reeves, 2024, which is about evolution is neither random accidents nor divine intervention. Biological action changes genomes, which turns out to be extolling the virtues of Randy Guliuz's CET notions, which is his way of getting rid of natural selection. This paper is explicitly in the young Earth creationist movement. So this means that Reeves presumably is more than casually interested in young Earth creationist material, latching onto it without any mention. You can tell it's a creationist paper if you look at the link and the reference points, but it's not alluded to anywhere. And Luskin picks this little puppy up. Well, Jackson Weed and I are going to be having quite a section on CET in the new book, which I will point to over there because my screen is flipped around. I just suddenly noticed on my window here. So sorry, but that's because I'm running off the little Edge version. I'm not sure in overall if I'm going to be having to download a new version of Chrome or a new version of what or that to be able to get around this stupid thing, because these windows that are coming up are just an absolute mess. I think it's also maybe to do with the newer version of Restream that's been developing. But at any rate, once I was able to maneuver around to hit the bloody buttons and get things right, at least I was able to activate for this particular show. And I'm not entirely sure if I'll be able to get around to shutting down this little show. Yipes. Anyhow, so I've got to skip putting up my little sidebar window for our other stuff because I'm just in a mess on that. But anyway, so it's showing you that there is still this grab any port in a storm kind of a thing in relation to stuff that's in the young Earth creationist camp that the intelligent designers don't really recognize as a big problem. Even CET has even gotten pushback within the creationist camp of where they're arguing that his attempt to get rid of natural selection just isn't cutting it. And it's kind of created a little minor schism. But apparently Reeves doesn't know about any of this stuff and is jumping off the cliff on it. There's a whole slew of technical material that just blows to smithereens this continuous environmental tracking trope that Guliuzza wants instead of natural selection, all kind of based in the idea of a super duper designed genome that has almost infinite plasticity within a kind, of course. To be able to adapt to circumstances and not ever involve in that natural selection thing or the kind of natural mutations that are the drivers of it. So it's a funky little operation. Okay, so we're only 14 minutes in now. I'm going to try to figure out whether I can get around to getting rid of this stupid menu again so that I can get to my button to say stop the stream. Oh, how did I get that into a separate doodad? There was a little thing on here which related to, oh boy, new window. Let's see, that's not what we want. Oh dear. See, the version that I keep on getting on this stupid chat window here is that there's no button to shut it down. And there should be a button to shut it down in the normal versions, but whatever is going on in my system here is not working on that. So I will let Judy on Restream know that I am streaming, though unclear if I can stop, as this check window is blocking access to the button again. Phew. Okay. What a strange little world is going on. Yeah, this thing, normally you would think you could just pick up the stupid little window and move it around, but let's get a, I'm trying to hide menu, more actions, copy. See, it won't even hide the menu for this site, hide the menu for that. See, it's not removing the menu. So it's very, very puzzling. And I don't know whether I can get around. There I'm on. Aha. And I need to find a button where I can find my shut down stream. I can, in stream. Okay, there we go. Finally found a little button floating around in there. I duly apologize for the utter chaos of this particular stream, and hopefully it will land okay on YouTube because I'm running on Edge rather than the other one. And we'll find out whether or not I can, now that I know that I can kind of tinker my way around some of these little menu obstacles, maybe I'll be able to maneuver around this stuff the next time I'll try it on Chrome, or if necessary, I can come back on Edge and see what happens. So I don't know what the hell's going on. So anyway, at 16 minutes, keep an eye out for wooden penguins. Catch the Democratic Convention. They've been having a lot of fun little speakers on that, little funky. And we will see you maybe